Good evening, everyone. This is former Pennsylvania State Constable Stephen Wiggs, and I am coming to you guys with some interesting information. Um, while this information is not pertaining to me directly and involves another constable out of Pennsylvania, it does highlight how New Jersey actually got it wrong once again. I've given so much information to identify how New Jersey got things wrong, but this is a doozy. This information is so powerful as to how New Jersey really screwed up. This is in relation to another Pennsylvania State Constable that was arrested for his firearm. Okay? Now, while I am not sure as to whether or not they charged him also with impersonating, I am sure that it was, in fact, a firearms charge. Now, to give a little synopsis of this incident, the constable was there in New York in relation to just being out there as a off-duty officer, right? At which point he is carrying under HR 218, known as LEOSA, Law Enforcement Officer Safety Act. He is certified, sworn with a firearm from his state, which is Pennsylvania. He's sworn as a law enforcement official, an elected law enforcement official at that, the same as I have. In fact, I find out that this guy came through the agency around the time I did. And this guy has been in the office, so he's been in the office since 2016. He got elected like I did in 2015 and got sworn in as the elected constable in 2016. Just about the same time I did. So, the NYPD arrested this guy on a firearms charge. They did not want to honor the Constabulary in Pennsylvania as a law enforcement agency. So who helped sell the idea that they weren't law enforcement? Here's the common denominator: the Pennsylvania State Police, the same agency that lied to the Essex County Sheriff's Department in my case. And the NYPD took their word for it and arrested this guy for his firearm. Well, what the NYPD at that particular moment did not really grasp the concept of was the fact that the Pennsylvania State Constable's office already had set case law in New York through Constable Manuel Rodriguez. Yes, my partner. One of my partners. And that case law was set back in 2006. Okay? It's the first test case of its kind involving the federal law, not case law, federal law. So it's direct law from the federal government. Yes, put in place by former President George W. Bush back in 2004. So in 2006, the case of Manuel Rodriguez, in his case law, they called him Arthur Rodriguez. They screwed his name up. This case prevailed for the law prevailed for Manuel Rodriguez. But then, even before the judge in his case actually used or mentioned the federal law, because Rodriguez was actually in New York on Pennsylvania business involving some warrants he was serving from out of Pennsylvania, where his investigation led him to New York in search of the individuals on the warrants. The judge honored the Constabulary of Pennsylvania as a law enforcement agency in the sense that since he was on Pennsylvania business in New York law actually protected him. Yes. So New York law protected the Pennsylvania State Constable office as a law enforcement agency from out of Pennsylvania. So because he was a law enforcement officer from out of Pennsylvania, officially, New York law covered him. But then the judge went a step further and honored him as being protected by the federal law, even if he wasn't working. Now understand, the federal law is for when you are off duty to cross into other states with your firearm, should you be certified and a sworn law enforcement official from out of your home state. And this has prevailed again in the state of New York. Yes, with another constable. So here's the unique thing about my case in reference to what happened in New York. Here's what it is in a nutshell. The judge in my case, out of New Jersey, out of Essex County, New Jersey, saw the case of Manuel Rodriguez, saw the New York case law. He read it. He said he understood it, and he honored the judge. He knew the judge, but he said because it was out of New York, he did not have to honor it. Yeah, because it never made it to the federal level, because it's New York already honored the constable office in Pennsylvania as a law enforcement agency. So why would it make it to the federal level when they're already honoring the constable office of Pennsylvania as a law enforcement agency? It don't make no sense to go any further. So they stopped it where it was, and it did not need to go any further. So in a more in-depth understanding, here we go. The judge in my case, how did he find me guilty? And why he found me guilty is the question. Here's what he used. This is going to bug you out. It's a case law known as what is it? It's a Supreme Court case law known as Act 147. And it tells the judicial system that they cannot supervise the Pennsylvania State Constable's office because the constables are elected officials. So it would be against the Constitution So the Supreme Court tells the people in the judicial system that constables, because constables are elected officials, they can't have the authority to supervise the constable's office. And it's the same as the sheriffs. The sheriffs in Pennsylvania aren't supervised by the court because the sheriff also is of the executive branch. But because they're, played by county dollars, the sheriffs still serve on a county level. But New Jersey used Act 147, literature from the case law Act 147, that did not ever say that constables in Pennsylvania weren't law enforcement, weren't police officers, weren't peace officers. In fact, the case law actually says constables are peace officers, and it gives a description stating the constable is a known officer charged with the conservation of the peace, and it states that it's the constable's business to arrest those who violate the peace. And then it gives a footnote, the constable is a police officer. This is what the law actually says. But New Jersey took a piece of literature that stated the constable is an independent contractor serving the judicial system. At best, it's basically telling the judicial system of Pennsylvania that it's further given an explanation on why they cannot supervise the constable's office. And it's uttering, at best, the constable is an independent contractor serving the judicial system, because the constables are not a part of the judicial system. We're not employees of the judicial system. So, with that being said, you can refer that same analogy to the sheriff and the district attorney, because the district attorney of Pennsylvania is also of the executive branch and not the judicial one. But nobody actually talks about that. But the law actually mentions them as well. Okay? So why nobody calls the sheriff an independent contractor serving the judicial system? Why nobody calls the district attorney an independent contractor serving the judicial system? But they honed in on the constable. Yeah, that's something very interesting to think about. So the same law that the judge in my case in Lehigh in Essex County used to say that we weren't police officers by picking that little piece of literature. It's the same law that the judge in the case law of Manuel Rodriguez, excuse me, it's the same law that the judge used to identify constables in Pennsylvania as law enforcement officers and found Manuel Rodriguez not guilty of carrying a firearm in New York. And so this recent case involving this other constable that happened just a week ago, this ruling that came out, he also used, this judge is a female judge, they also used Manny's case, Manuel Rodriguez, my partner, they also used his case to highlight the federal law, HR 218, Law Enforcement Officer Safety Act. And in that particular law, it's mentioning the Supreme Court case law, Act 147, using it to identify the constable as a law enforcement official. Hence the reason why Manuel Rodriguez did not get found guilty, because it's showing that the constable in Pennsylvania is a law enforcement official. So, New Jersey. You guys are being exposed in different elements every time I actually look up, and I'm going to make sure that you guys are aware that we didn't forget about you. I'm making sure that you guys understand. These Essex County Sheriff's Department and the Essex County District Attorney's Office, as well as the whole judicial system of Essex County. I want you guys to know that you guys were 100% wrong, and we're going to make sure that everybody involved in what happened to me actually get what they deserve. So, I just wanted to update you guys on some information. I greatly appreciate your time and sticking by me. Everybody that subscribed to the channel, I really want you guys to know that I truly appreciate you. You guys have a blessed one. Peace.